What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is Season 6, Episode 6, and let's jump right into this review because there are definitely a few things that we need to talk about. Alright, so the first thing that we have up is Melody having a conversation with Tiffany. She goes to see Tiffany. As we all know, Tiffany is pregnant, and she just wants to check in on her, invite her to the high tea that she plans on having, and allow for them to talk about this, supposed spa day that Tisha threw. So, according to Melody, she says that, once they start cursing and getting all out, she knew that this was not the environment that she wanted to be in. Therefore, that is why she decided to leave. And honestly, I can understand why she wanted to leave because, let's be for real, they were really arguing about nothing, especially when Stormy was like, if you feel like I was talking so much, you should have told me to shut the F up. And they were doing a lot. Alright, now the next part of this conversation really pissed me off because Melody goes on to talk about how, she threw a birthday party for her daughter, how Martell caused all that commotion unnecessarily because at the end of the day, she made sure that Mariah called her dad before the party just so that he could, say happy birthday, all this stuff. So they had already talked. So then when he, got on the phone with Mel, he was like, I should be able to come to the party, all this stuff. She had already told him, you're not invited. Just for that man to pop up, cause a scene, do all that yelling. Like, are you kidding me? And Mel distinctively told him, you can have your daughter today, just later on after the party. Then she goes on to say, and then after the party, I made sure to ask Mariah, hey, let's go ahead and call your dad so that way you can go be with him today because this is what he said that he wanted. Like, Martell agreed that he would come and get this little girl after the party, after he stormed off and he made a big old scene. For him to get there, and please know that she had a recording of him saying, oh no, I can't take you today, I'll come get you on Monday. So you mean to tell me you got this little girl hopes up that she was going to see her dad after her party? Just for you to go ahead and say, oh no, I'm going to see you on Monday? I'm sorry, but that right there pissed me off because you're playing a game. And the sad part about it is that you're so busy trying to get back at Melody every chance that you get that you don't see how much that is hurting your children down the line. Like, when I say Mel is better than me, because, baby, I would have cussed Martell out. I definitely would have. But nonetheless, I think that Tiffany is finally seeing things from Mel's perspective of Martell is really the issue. Martell sits up here in y'all face and make it seem like Melody is causing all these problems when it's really him. Now, Melody does tell her about the tea. She tells her that she can invite somebody, to bring with her. And like Tiffany said, oh, so you mean you can have a +1 that's also your backup? Because that's definitely what people did. They definitely brought some backup with them. But let's go ahead and move on to the next scene. Alright, y'all, this was another scene that pissed me off. Honestly, this scene made me more mad than the first one. Because Kimmy is already going through enough. And for Maurice to play in her face like this, absolutely. You know what? Let me go ahead and tell y'all what went down. So Maurice is sitting up here talking about how, he has to get Monster to do some homework. And Kimmy is like, I have to get that boy to clean his room because every time I tell him to do something, he basically is ignoring me. And Maurice's response is, oh, so when you tell him to do it, he just doesn't do it and you take it? I said, what do you mean you take it? What do you want her to do? Do you want her to, hit your child? Please make that make sense. So she goes on to tell him how he does not reinforce or, back her up when she's telling Monster to do something. This man took this to a whole different book, a whole nother realm of what the hell we talking about. Some type of way he brings up Kiowa. I said, what she got to do with this? What does Kiowa have to do with this conversation? Kimmy is letting you know that when she tells your son something and when she tries to discipline him, he completely ignores her. And the fact that you are his father, you already know I'm coming in as a stepmom, you're supposed to back me up. So if I'm telling Monster to go clean his room, you should be the one that says, Monster, hey, did you hear Kimmy? Like, she said go clean your room, go clean your room. I mean, this man missed it completely. So then she goes on to talk about how, when it comes down to her being a bonus parent, like, yes, there are limits to what she can actually say, but at the end of the day, Monster knows that Kimmy is not his mother, so therefore he's definitely going to ignore whatever she's saying, because at the end of the day, that's not my mama. And because that's not my mama, I ain't got to do what she's saying. That's just my daddy wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are very rebellious in that way. Hell, he over there being rebellious to Maurice. So, here's the thing. Maurice flips this and says, yeah, I think this issue started when you weren't getting along with Kiowa. Baby, that was like season 1, season 2. We are now on season 6. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about, Maurice? Then for him to go on to say, I feel like now you want to be hands off with, discipline and Monster. What the hell are you talking about? She's literally coming to you saying, I'm trying to discipline your child, but clearly he's not listening to me. How did we bring Kiowa into this? Baby, it got so bad that this man decides, I'm going to call Kiowa. What the hell are we calling Kiowa for? Like, this woman has specifically told you my issue is with you and your lack of involvement. That's the problem. I feel like Kimmy ain't saying it, but I can read between the lines. Negro, you are not doing what you said that you were going to do. You said that you was going to be raising Monster and all this stuff. I'm the one who's actually doing it. And on top of that, that boy ain't even listening to me. So what the hell are we doing? Like, I really hate the fact that Maurice is sitting up here in Kimmy's face, acting as if she is like stirring up a whole issue when that's not even the case right now. The problem is you, Maurice, and your lack of accountability and responsibility when it comes to raising your child. Because last time I checked, her child is grown. But like I said, he calls Kiowa, he gets on the phone and tells Kiowa that him and Kimmy are talking about disciplining Monster and how Kimmy is having a problem with it because of how Kiowa may feel. I'm like, who told you this, sir? I have never seen somebody just completely flip something around the way he did this conversation. I'm like, are we all watching the same stuff? Are we all in the same conversation? Because this man is out of control. So Kiowa, she says that she understands where Kimmy is coming from. And, she does appreciate the fact that Kimmy cares about what Kiowa thinks. And I'm like, first of all, she don't care about what you think because that never came out of her mouth. Now, this is the thing that gave me a huge side-eye for Maurice, because he leans back in the chair and gives this look while he's on FaceTime with Kiowa and was like, you will be okay with Kimmy treating Monster the way she treats Jalen? And then Kiowa was like, no. What are y'all talking about? Because I think Kimmy did a great job raising Jalen. Jalen graduated from college. Jalen has a job, even though I hate the fact that he works at Black. I want that man to be doing something else. But Jalen seems to be doing okay. I'm trying to figure out why in the world is this such a problem with the way Kimmy raised Jalen. Did any of y'all catch that? Because I definitely gave him the side eye. Because, baby, I feel like she did a damn good job considering she was a single mother. Baby, one thing that I can say about the men on this show is that they are all piss poor fathers. All of them. Now, as a matter of fact, I don't know too much about Courtney. And I don't know too much about Big Lou. But as far as the core three, piss poor. Because here's why. On the other week, what was that, last week or maybe the week before, we literally saw Marceau try to disrespect Tisha in front of the children. Yes, it may have been in a joking manner, But you don't do that in front of your kids. Because it basically sets the standard of, well, a woman should always be cooking and cleaning and running behind the children. And she has daughters. Her daughters are seeing their mom be a businesswoman, be a boss. Why are you trying to shut that down? And the fact that your own son was like, I would never let my partner talk to me that way. That right there lets me know that you probably say all kinds of crazy stuff around that house. And hopefully your children are not picking up the things that you're saying and believing it, that should be the way of life. When it comes to Martell, I just told y'all the things that he's doing to Melody, the way he wants to completely disrespect her and treat her bad, but then try to use the kids as a pawn, baby, that's going to backfire on him, okay? Because what you're not going to do is sit up here and try to play these kids in the middle, and then when they get older, they get to realize, oh no, Daddy was playing with Mom. Daddy sat up there and acted like he was going to come get us when he did it. He just wanted to waste Mom's time or whatever and treat us bad while doing it. Because that is devastating to a child when it's their birthday and your dad says they're going to come pick you up and they don't. Talking about they're going to come get you a couple of days later. And now we have Maurice, who is literally sitting up here taking no accountability on raising the child that he fought his wife so hard on, because this is the same man who wanted to pay for not only his son to come down here, but also his ex-wife and her husband to move down to Huntsville just so that he can raise his child in his household, even though he's clearly not doing the raising. I am over the men of Huntsville, but let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so now we have a scene with Stormy. She's meeting with Kiki. They actually go see someone about doing Reiki. And first things first, this woman is like, I am a child of God. That is my spiritual background. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, me personally, I have never done Reiki. I do know a few people who have, and they swear by it. I may give it a shot. Maybe one day, but I just don't see that happening right now. I did appreciate Kiki asking a valid question, because she asked the woman about, how is it that you can be a child of God while you're doing this Reiki work? And the woman, she did go ahead and explain. We didn't get her full explanation, but at least Kiki did ask a question if she was curious. So the woman, she actually starts doing her work, and she does Stormy first. And with Stormy, she told her that, she works from purity, she has a good heart, but she is definitely overthinking a lot of things. So when it comes to Kiki, she tells her to, watch the words that she uses, because words are powerful, and she's been speaking a lot of things into existence. And she also, I think she told her that she's like a champion or something like that. So after all this is done, you have Stormy and Kiki talking, and according to Kiki, they are quite similar. And I was like, yeah, y'all are. There's definitely some similarities when it comes to Kiki and when it comes to Stormy. So another thing that I want to point out is the fact that for some reason, Stormy really harps on the fact that people have called her ghetto. And it's like, girl, just embrace it. Like, if you're a little ghetto, so what? It is what it is. Like, don't let that one thing hold you back or stop you from your greatness. Because at the end of the day, like, there are people who are ghetto. There are people who are bougie. There are people who are, whatever. And they are successful. Because think about it. Our favorite entertainers, especially the black ones, a lot of them, they come from the hood. They're ghetto. They have been refined, over the years, because they've learned more and they've become a little bit more intelligent in certain things, because that's deemed as upper echelon. But they started off the same way most of us are. We have some ghetto tendencies, but that doesn't completely define who you are, Stormy. So I want you to work on that. So they also talk about how, Tiffany's pregnant, but she needs to remember that she's pregnant while she's over there stirring up mess with people, because Kiki does want to have another conversation with her at some point. And Stormy is like, well, she might want to stop getting to it with you before her baby come out looking like you or whatever. Now listen, I can absolutely see that happening, especially considering Big Lou is the father. And what's funny to me is that Kiki thinks she's the finest thing walking. Because y'all remember when they were talking about how Tisha looks like Kiki. And she was like, yeah, she better be happy that she looked like me. Like, Kiki really thinks that she is the finest thing walking, okay? All right, girl. All right, now let's slide on over to this next scene because I'm just trying to figure out why in the world does Martell have on a full suit? Why? He ain't got no job that requires him to wear a suit. Like, I know sometimes we may see Maurice, he'll have a suit on because he's supposedly a lawyer. But Martell ain't even got a job. So why does he have this outfit on? Nonetheless, he goes to see Maurice or whatever, and they're at a building that Maurice has that is under construction. So, according to Maurice, this is going to be where his law office is, as well as, I guess, where he fixes credit. I'm not sure because y'all, I'm just a little confused because he has this office that they're working on, but then he also has the office with Kimmy. So now I'm trying to figure out what goes on in that office. Is that just for like all of the realty stuff? Like, what is going on? And why do you as one person need 15, 20 different offices? But nonetheless, Martell came over so that way he can whine about how him and Melody are not seeing eye to eye, especially at their daughter's birthday party. And I'm just like, I love the way that you're just going to go ahead and eliminate all the things that you did wrong, so that way it looks like Melody is the bad guy. Just great, Martell. So then you have Maurice talking about something, oh, well, I'm going to pray for you guys, blase blah. I'm just like, Maurice, please just shut up. Like, every time that man starts talking, I just be like, please stop talking. And then you have Martell talking about because we have a long road ahead of us. Melania is only 3 years old. And I'm just like, yeah, so stop acting the way you are, Martell. And maybe things will be a little bit smoother. All right, so now it's Maurice's turn to talk about his life. And he talks about how, Kimmy is getting better. As we all know that she is battling cancer. And on top of all the stuff that I said earlier about the whole Kimmy monster situation, you mean to tell me that your child, Monster, is literally out here acting like a monster while his stepmother is going through breast cancer and battling it? This woman is in survival mode, fighting for her life every day. Because if you know anybody who has to go through cancer, go through chemo, radiation, all of that, baby, there are some days that are highs and there are a lot of lows. So for this woman to be going through all of this and you sit up here telling her you can't clean up your room, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not listening to her, we have a huge problem. And it's bothering me that Maurice does not see the issue here. Like, basically, he goes on to talk about how, basically, Monster, if you take things away from him, he will adjust to it and keep on moving with life. Whatever you ask him to do, he still ain't gonna do it. So, that is just who he is. And Maurice is trying to figure out who Monster is as a person. And I'm just like, well, it doesn't seem like he's a good one. So, I feel like that has a lot to do with the way you and Kiowa have raised this young man. So then he goes ahead and gives this analogy comparing Monster's situation to a dog that he once had and how the dog died because the dog didn't listen and all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maurice is always going to talk all of our ear off, ain't he? But nonetheless, he goes on to talk about how, he doesn't know what to do with Monster, honestly. And Martell is like, well, you got to nip that in the bud because he's like 15 years old now. And when I was that age, I was running around being bad as well. And how did Martell get better? ROTC and sports. Which I'm like, Monster's already in sports, so that ain't gonna work. Maybe he do need some type of discipline from ROTC. And did y'all catch how Martell said he didn't have no structure or discipline at home? I said, oh, I can believe it. Because that's why Marlene lets you do whatever that you do now and have no type of accountability for you. According to her, you just my baby boy and whatever you do is right. Alright, y'all, so now we are finally at Mel's tea party, and all of the ladies look beautiful. Everyone has their fascinator hat. I mean, they just look super cute, or whatever. So we're supposedly going to learn about etiquette, as well as how to communicate with each other. So we start off, they get tea, it was real cute, and then they have this conversation about curse words and profanity. And Stormy is like, I just like to cuss. I just like to say those words like they're a part of my vocabulary. But according to Miss Carol, she's like, oh no, because that means that you have a limited vocabulary or whatever. Now, I have to say I disagree. Sometimes when you use profanity or if you are cussing at people, I don't want to say cussing at people, or if you use curse words while speaking, it's just another way to validate what you're trying to say. It kind of like puts a little razzle dazzle in what you're saying, if I must say so myself. Now, one thing that bothered me within this scene was Nell deciding that she was going to chime on in and get it started, because I'm like, girl, you ain't in nobody's opening credit. Why are you up here talking about how, can we get to the meat and potatoes of everything? Girl, who invited you? You're not even getting to the salad of it, okay? Because according to her, she's just feeling some type of energy. And according to her, that energy is between Stormy and Mel. And I'm like, girl, how'd you feel that all the way from over there? Nonetheless, Stormy's mom chimes in, is like, well, do you feel that about Stormy or her mother? Because I definitely had an issue with Mel. So she goes on to talk about how, before she even tells Mel what the issue was, she going back and forth with Nell. I'm like, I don't have time for these old people. Cut it out. So now we have Stormy's mom talking about how, when it came to Mel, she feels like Mel should have stuck up for Stormy. Because everybody thought that Stormy was the one who secretly recorded Mel in her house. And Mel didn't say that it wasn't Stormy. So the public assumed that it was. And you have Stormy's mama just standing up for her daughter. Now, Mel, she does apologize. She's like, I apologize for whatever I tweeted, if offending you. And here goes Stormy mama starting up again. She's like, well, you could have just been direct and said that it wasn't Stormy. It's like, girl, please chill out. Like, again, we have another mom being so involved in what's going on social media when it comes to this TV show. Like, she really is Wanda 2.0. Now, let's go ahead and move on, because Kiki said, well, maybe I have a grievance that I want to get out. So we already know she is gunning for Tiffany. So Tiffany actually explains herself and says that, she met up with Tisha or whatever, they had a conversation. But at the end of the day, she feels like, Kiki, you should have been going hard for your cousin, as well as, claiming your cousin. Because I guess when she was introduced to Kiki, she was introduced as Mel's friend instead of being Tisha's cousin. Girl, who cares? But she's like, if you would treat your cousin wrong, that means you would definitely treat your friend wrong. So she basically doesn't want anything to do with Kiki. Now, baby, one thing about Kiki, she's going to stand up for herself. For sure. There's no questioning that. So we actually see these two ladies go back and forth, to the point that you have Kiki going over what it means to know of somebody versus actually knowing them. According to her, Tiffany, she has met different parts of her family outside of Tisha. She also lets us know that at one point she was helping Mel when it came down to helping Tiffany find her biological father. Now, one thing that I found interesting in that is the fact that Tiffany never circled back with Kiki, even though Kiki said that she had resources in the area that Tiffany was looking to find her father. So it was interesting that everybody's like, oh, well, did you circle back with Tiffany? Well, I agree with Kiki on this one. I'm not looking for my daddy. She's looking for hers. So if she needs to look for her daddy, she needs to reach out to me. I'm not about to go above and beyond and then start feeding her all this information that maybe she's not ready for. So I get Kiki on that. Now, let's be honest, though. Kiki, you definitely made a dig when she was like, I always knew who my daddy was. I was like, oh, Kiki, I was rocking with you. You didn't have to hit her below the belt like that. But I get it. You felt like Tiffany been trying to hold your feet to the fire, so you go hit her where it hurts. Now, I did respect the fact that Miss Carol stepped in and was like, hey, what you said, it was out of line. You definitely took a dig at her. Kiki tried to deny it, but girl, it was a dig. There's no way around it. All right, so then they pretty much wrap this episode up. Mel ends up giving out gifts at the end of the day, and that was it. So let me know what y'all thought about this episode. I know I've voiced my opinion on a couple of things, but go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.